Yeah. It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock this. Let's get it started. It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock this. Let's get it started. Yeah, get your boots ready. We're about to go on a trip where we wrestle, nobody settling or calling it quits. You're here for the grit, bet you this stuff is amazing. You're stumbling, welcome to the bump in the apron. Step into it, the hardest part of the ring. Here to bring fun, yeah, and this art he's king. It's the best thing, making sure you don't tap out. Don't go soft with the hardest podcast out. And it's not just another one, it's clear. Off the rest, in this content, none contest. Take the nonsense off the steps. You know it's nothing but pure gems when it's coming off the chest. Get it? Now it's time to sit and relax. Get your mind blown away, ain't no skipping this track. Have you paying more attention, no listening gap. Get everything I ever wanted, no giving it back. Yeah.
Ooh, what's up, everybody? It's part of the hardest part of the ring. It is the apron bump. And it is Superbrawl 5. WCW Superbrawl 1995. The 5th incarnation of Superbrawl. I guess they label them as numbers. This is the ignorant to WCW person talking. I don't know if this pay-per-view is kind of positioned as like a tentpole event for WCW, a marquee event. I know WCW kind of went the extra lengths to kind of give each pay-per-view personality, which I really like. But it was not enough to save it from this god-awful show. Holy fuck. Man, was WCW, man. You know, I started these reviews in the middle of 94, and now we're here in February, I believe, of 95. Man, WCW fucking sucks. I'm not surprised, but because you never hear a lot of glowing reviews of 95 WCW. But oof. I mean, hey. It's great for me. It's great for a podcaster, man. I mean, because this episode that we got here is fucking hilarious. Lots and lots of stuff to make fun of. But, man, I can't imagine being a fan at the time. And, my guest on this episode, he said something very poignant at the end of the episode, but I want to reiterate it here. He said that nothing on this show would make you want to tune in to WCW Saturday night or watch the next pay-per-view. It was like, man, there was just like, I mean, we got Hogan, sure, Hulk Hogan, huge star, Suburban Commando. I know, but I feel like at this point, early in 95, it's already starting to wear off. The Hogan allure, the Hogan, what word am I looking for, folks? The Hogan essence, residue, the Hogan residue. It's starting to wear off a little bit, and in hindsight, it eventually did. And we talk about all this in the podcast, but it's so interesting to see because we all know Hogan would eventually turn heel, join the NWO, and then they're off to the races. But it's interesting to kind of watch it in real time here, kind of why he would eventually turn heel, because what he was doing before wasn't working. The red and yellow, I mean, look, he got a big pop. You know, he's probably more over than anybody else in this. Not probably. Well, Macho Man's up there, but Hogan is definitely a star here. I'm not going to try to diminish his appeal, but it's almost like, and this is based off of interviews from, Bischoff and other people that were backstage at the time. Hogan he was a hit, but he was more like he was a double. He wasn't a home run that they were expecting. And you can kind of see why. in this era that we're covering here, which is really interesting for me to kind of watch and discuss. But also on this show, we see the in-ring pay-per-view debut of Macho Man Randy Savage. We're pretty fresh off of his A&E documentary, so interesting to kind of see this big transition in his career. Leaving the WWF, they put him on commentary. Vince thought that he was pretty much done. He was at a point in his career where he couldn't produce in the ring to the extent that he used to be able to, so he got thrown on commentary in WWF, and Macho was like, listen here, I can get in the ring, Ian. Okay. I was trying to do a Macho Man, but it came off more Triple H there. But what the hell am I talking about? So Macho Man gets in the ring with a match. That's what they do in wrestling sometimes on this show. Otherwise, man, this show is just filled with just the WCW tropes, man. Just hilariously spot on with the tropes. We have shitty finishes. We have lots and lots of yelling at the camera promos. Lots of sweat, lots of veins, lots of flexing. Just awful production, awful pacing of the show. And man, there is just a comedy of errors this entire episode or this entire show. But had a great time with my guest covering Superbrawl V, Brandon from the Full Nelson Press podcast. You can follow their podcast at TFNB on Twitter. Follow Brandon at Johnny_Tango on Twitter. Also on YouTube as well. Go check them out. A really entertaining podcast that has a different take on wrestling, YouTube, podcasting, whatever you want to call it. They cover the current products, but they have a good time with it as opposed to, just bashing it over and over again like a lot of people do. They do animations of their episodes, which is a really fun, unique aspect to it. So go check them out. The Full Nelson Press, all their info in the description. Let's dive right in, folks. WCW Superbrawl 1995 with myself and Brandon from the Full Nelson Press. But yeah, man, thanks for coming on and making the time to
absolutely, thanks for having me.
Watch some old school WCW. Just like to get a little bit context. So were you watching wrestling back in 94 or 95?
No, so I started, my first Raw is a buddy of mine told me to watch WCW and I watched the wrong show and fell in love with WWF right away.
Whoops.
Yeah, he's like, look for the bald guy with the goatee. I'm like, I like this dude. He's really cool with the beard.
Yeah, the black trunks, the black boots. Right? Totally.
So my first Raw was actually just on a fluke. Was the Stephanie McMahon getting crucified and Stone Cold coming out to save the day, which is cemented it for me that I was like, oh, there's more to this than just wrestling.
Right. Dude, that's crazy because it's almost the exact same for me. Because my dad got me into wrestling and he always made me watch Goldberg matches. Right. And I just stumbled upon WWF and it was around the same time because my first memory of wrestling is watching Undertaker hang Boss Man from the cell. Right, so it's that same that Ministry Undertaker kind of deal. So
see, as a kid, I was a huge urban commando or suburban commando of Hulk Hogan, and I knew he was a wrestler, but I just never gave a shit. I don't think no one in my family ever watched wrestling.
But you said you're a big Suburban Commando fan?
Yeah.
Man.
Was as a 5-year-old, absolutely. Nowadays,
okay.
I know we're talking about Hulk Hogan's in the main event here, so I hate Hulk Hogan. I think he's such a piece of shit.
Is it because of Suburban Commando?
No, it isn't.
Or is it because of the nanny?
No. I think I'd still watch it.
Doesn't help matters.
If it was on TBS, I'd still be like, all right, we'll watch it.
Well, we'll give it. I've actually never seen it. I keep hearing about it. People keep raving about it. I guess I might as well just dive right in. It has
one of the best scenes in cinematic history. It's Hulk Hogan because he's from outer space or something like that. I think that's what it is. I can't remember. He's a Marine. I don't know.
Yeah,
but he sees a mime and he goes, this poor mime stuck in a box. So he punches the box and he just clocks the mime right in the face. He goes, you're welcome. And then just walks away. It's the only good part of the movie, I think.
Do you think that was his idea? That sounds like his writing.
I don't even think he even knew they were filming at the time.
That sounds about right. Doesn't work for me, brother. You're gonna have to talk. But yeah, I asked because so like 95, this era of WCW especially, is something that I've never gone back and watched until this podcast. So are you, like, how familiar are you with early 95 WCW?
I mean, like, I know of, like, every wrestler that I saw on the card, I knew. Like, I don't think there was anyone that, like, and I knew, like, other alter egos to them and stuff. So, like, there was no big surprises there. As for, like, the backstage stuff, I don't know too much. To be honest, like, I think it really felt like a WWF old school show. Like, if you change the commentators, like, it just... If you put Vince up there instead of Tony, I would have said it was a WCW or WWF match, because like there was nothing really. This is like I feel like this is right before like Nitro is gonna, like, obviously it's before NWO, but I think it's like before like an attitude change with both in wrestling in general. Yeah, but I mean it was all right. There were some things like Colonel Parker being out there and like them using. Like, I don't understand why in the 90s that it was a big thing to use. The bad guys were always big guys or truckers. That was always the thing. or
prisoners or
but that's the whole thing tonight. I think anybody who was like a bad guy tonight was a fat guy or a trucker.
Dude, I've been watching these shows chronologically since like the middle of 94, and you're like 100% right, because if it's not It's some big bald guy in a cutoff, like whatever they are. Yeah. There's some job they do with a trash man, police officer. It's something of the same thing, and it all kind of starts to blend together after a while. But even like within this one show, everything kind of blended together to a certain extent. But yeah, like just to set the scene here. So Hogan, we're a few months into Hogan at this point in WCW, but pre NWO. So it's this weird period where he's still doing the red and yellow stuff. It's not like the crowd is into it, but maybe not as into it as they were maybe in the early 90s. But they're still kind of going with it because he's by far the biggest name they got, other than Flair. But they're really, really going hard with Hogan at this point. And just, I don't want, bring up every segment on this show, but man, were there a lot of yelling promos backstage.
Yeah. What was it? Sherry, or what's her name?
Yeah.
She screamed a lot. Yeah.
Sister Sherry.
Yep. And then Avalanche was back there. He yelled at the camera just to yell.
Yep. And so did Booker T. So did Stevie Ray. So did Hulk Hogan. Who am I missing? I feel like there's another big Vader. Can't forget Vader.
Vader did. I don't understand why they needed security for their own number one contender for their title.
You would think there's something they could do about it.
Like either fire the dude or he's not number one contender.
Yeah.
Can't like keep regular staff around.
It's worth a call to HR at the very least. But yeah, man. So just like kind of jumping into the show. So Ric Flair apparently is in the building, according to the commentary, which is funny because he just retired a few months ago, so they're already kind of planting seeds for his comeback, it seems. And another thing about just WCW shows in general, because you went and you said that it felt like a WWF pay-per-view, and I disagree in this one sense, because the way that WCW paced their shows was bizarre, because it starts off right, it's hot, they have the video package, they have the pyro, everybody's excited, and then it just goes to commentary and they just talk for a long time.
Yeah, there's a different tone with that. I agree, because I think with WWF, I think they would have cut right to Vader in the parking lot, just harassing limo drivers, where WCW have to put some kind of colored commentary on everything.
Yeah, and I was just like thinking, like in the context of somebody who's there live, like it's just dead silent for like the first 10 minutes. It's like a weird, like you like start with like a speed bump almost. So it's kind of bizarre.
Absolutely.
And like you said, it starts off. They cut to Vader backstage. I think it was earlier in the night, or maybe it was right at that moment. He's looking for Flair, I believe. Is that or is he just going berserk?
I think he's looking for no, because he's in the car with Flair. So I think they send an interview team out there to investigate like what's going. Like, oh, I think Vader's here, and then I think he comes out, and then they're like, oh, there's a blonde and there was some women, so it's Flair.
Right, very clearly Flair. Vader grabs a limo driver by the throat, asks him, oh, he's looking for Hogan.
That's it.
Even though he's literally facing him in the main event. So, hey, but
you have
just
like
be in the
you
ring
have
at
a
this
contract
time.
that says you meet him in 2 hours. Like, what's the
bro?
wait?
do some Hindu squats backstage, get ready, drink some water, stay hydrated. You'll get him. Chill. And then Vader, no one's telling him where Hogan is. So he just punches a car window, you know, the typical thing to do.
Because, right.
The cleanest car window smash I've ever seen in my life, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that. He went like this, and it just
I think came... this is definitely, I think, a right around that did Goldberg already break his hand from punching one that wasn't supposed to be a prop by this time? I don't know if that was yet.
That was we're still a few years from Goldberg, I believe.
Okay, all right.
But yes, it became a theme with WCW for sure over the years. Then they cut to Vader. Still, nobody's able to wrangle him, I guess. He interrupts a dark match, which is hilarious. I think it was it was Buff Bagwell and Patriot versus some other jobbers. Who gives a fuck? But Vader just comes in and just
like
shits
two
on all
different
of them.
Patriots. Yeah, he just destroys all of them for no reason.
Right. I forget what their name is. I literally just covered them in my last WCW review, but who cares? But yeah, so Vader's running amok, and then comes back to commentary, and then now we're off finally to the first match. Paul Roma versus Alex Wright. I guess, and another thing with these shows, they don't really lay out the story behind these matches. There's not a lot of video packages other than like the main event. Yeah. So I didn't know why these guys are fighting.
It was weird that like this match was almost like, hey, this is here just to show you Alex win. Like that's all it was. Because he had some timing issues. He's very athletic. I could tell that this is like this is probably him still being green at this time.
This is totally second match.
Like, was this a second match? Okay, so it really just felt like the local hero winning his match at a local event. Like that's just what it felt like. I mean, I don't know.
Even though he's German.
Yeah,
but I definitely hear what you're saying though. It was just like, I don't know, man. So the match starts. Paul Roma. So Alex is doing his dance, which I forget what Alex Wright's dance was. Can you refresh my memory?
It was like I want to call it the twist. I don't know what it was. It was like some kind of like, it was like he had a snake in his boot or something.
Oh, I see. I was hoping you would jump up on the table and dance for me, but maybe next time.
Nope.
You're wearing a Bootio shirt. You gotta be.
They'll dance, not me. That's why I buy their shirts. No one buys my shirts.
I'll accept it. But yeah, Alex Wright is doing his little dance because that's what he does. And then Paul Roma attacks him as he's mid-dance, which is dastardly as far as I'm concerned.
What a bad guy.
And then it's some chain wrestling in the beginning, and it feels like Paul Roma kind of controls most of the match. The match, it felt slow to me. I don't know about you, because it's two young guys. They look like they can go, but it felt like just a lot of rest holds in this match. I don't know if you got that impression.
Well, because like I don't want to jump too far ahead, but it was like they were almost waiting for Paul Orndorff to come down because like they're just both like looking at the Titantron being like, all right, when's it happening? When's he coming down?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like you said, Paul Orndorff comes out like, I don't know, 4 minutes in or so.
Why does he come out in full wrestling attire? He doesn't have a match tonight.
You gotta always be prepared. You never know what's gonna happen. You have Vader running around destroying. He could destroy somebody, and he might have to replace him in a match.
I guess so.
He's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. Okay. Maybe the robe was a bit unnecessary. I'll give you that. But
I almost feel like the robe was needed if he was just going to come down in just trunks. Then I'd be like, oh, this is a triple threat.
Cashes in. But yeah, so not a lot to this match. Towards the end, Alex Wright, he hits a top rope crossbody, and it looks like Paul Roma was supposed to catch him. That's what it looked like, but Roma kind of just stumbles back and falls.
Yeah, that's what the people backstage were hoping for.
Yeah. And then, so Alex Wright lands on top of Roma, but Alex Wright, like half his body is outside of the ring, but the ref counts anyways, because fuck it, I guess.
What was that? And then Paul breaks up the pin because like it wasn't official. I would break it too.
like Paul Orndorff touching his leg is what made that pin illegal. Like this dude's his whole lower body's on the floor. Like
right. I've always took it as like if you could see the shadow of the rope on the wrestler, it's a rope break.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, like you said, Paul Orndorff breaks up the pin. So Alex Wright's looking at Paul Orndorff like, what the fuck? And then Roma tries to take advantage in the ring by attacking Alex Wright from behind. But Alex evades, and he rolls up Paul Roma for the quick win. So Alex Wright gets the win here. Like you said, the local, don't mind you that he's German and they're in Maryland. The local hometown kid gets the win. Yep. Yeah, it was kind of a nothing match for me.
Yeah, same. I mean, I don't know what they were trying to do with getting the crowd hyped up, but I guess Alex Wright is the guy to do it. Your local blue-eyed, blonde-haired German man.
Right. You're saying this match didn't get you hyped up for the rest of the show?
You know what? I think what Harlem Heat and Cherry coming up, I think hyped it up enough. This felt like a kickoff show. I was just waiting for him to connect to or go right back over to like Renee Young for her to see what else was on the countdown before we were hitting the main card.
Yeah, that's 100% accurate. It did feel like a kickoff pre-show, like something you'd watch on the TV guide as you saw the other channels. And another little tidbit here. So allegedly, Paul Roma, when he got pinned, he kicked out at like 3.1, and apparently the backstage people didn't like that. And allegedly, this is what he got fired after it.
Oh wow!
Who knows? It's a shame we don't get any more Paul Roma to watch.
Yeah, womp womp. Him and his amazing sells of not selling any moves and not wanting to be pinned. Thoughts and prayers.
Best in his future endeavors for sure.
Yeah, right. We'll see what happens with him. I mean, you're the one watching chronologically. Let me know when he shows up again.
I will not. I'm gonna skip the rest of his matches. I think it's what I'm gonna do. But after that, oh man, if you thought that was hot, now we got Jim Duggan, Hacksaw Jim Duggan versus Bunkhouse Buck, accompanied by Colonel Robert Parker and Ming, of course.
Right.
So this is a weird period for Jim Duggan because he's still, even in '94, he's definitely past his prime.
Oh, absolutely. You could tell when he came out.
Yeah, I mean he still has his 2x4. He's still yelling "ho" and USA, but that's pretty much the extent of what this was.
That's it. He just randomly yells USA throughout the match too, which is weird.
So the whole, once again, no story is laid out by commentary. There's no video package. But as somebody who's viewing this kind of out of context, so you have Jim Duggan, whose character is all-American blue-collar guy. You got Bunkhouse Buck, who is all-American blue-collar guy. So like, why do I hate one guy for being blue-collar, but I like the other guy?
Watching it from the outside, you're almost just like, are they fighting over the wood?
That's probably it. You know what? I need to go watch this match back with that context, and I'll probably enjoy it more.
Well, like the finish was just like Duggan just doing like this falling clothesline, which was weird.
There were a lot of shitty finishes on this match or on this show, but this could have been the worst.
This one was bad.
It was. Once again, there's not a lot to this match. I would honestly say it was better than the opening match, bizarrely, given the people involved. But,
yeah, just because of Hacksaw, like that just does it.
Yeah, I mean, we joke about it, but man, when he yells "ho," The people there in Baltimore, they yell ho. They yell
Yeah.
ho. They love USA there. But the end, so Buck whips Duggan into Colonel Parker by accident. So Colonel Parker, who's on the apron, he gets knocked off the apron. And then Duggan he goes into his 3-point stance and then just runs and makes his body hit Buck. That's like all. That's the only way I can describe it. It wasn't quite a clothesline. It wasn't quite a shoulder tackle, but it was somewhere in between.
No, you could see the indent of Hacksaw's nipple on the other guy's face. Like you could tell he did not hit the spot right.
Right. Yeah. See, that's why you're here. You have the nuance. You bring the nuance to the table. But yeah, so that gets Duggan the win. A really weak looking tackle, and then just a weird pin. Like it was just, and so Duggan wins. But like, what are the stakes? What's the storyline here? It was just like, I don't know. And at no point
was this match just to put Mang over? Because like he comes out and attacks everybody in the end, and
that was the best part.
He's the one who stands victorious over this, not Bunkhouse.
Dude, that was by far the best part because the crowd was barely into it during the match. But then Mang comes in, he gives Duggan a savate kick. The crowd goes bananas, and yeah, it just seemed like Duggan felt like he was in control the whole time, which is weird because he's the babyface. So it's like at no point did I think he was in peril.
Right. Was this just like the beginning of the Duggan Go Home tour, which lasts still to this day? He's still on that tour.
Yeah, and for added context, just to make it even better, this is fresh after Jim Duggan squashed Steve Austin.
Oh, really?
Like a few months after. I think at this point Austin is injured, but man, it's just, and looking in hindsight, it is crazy how things turn out.
I mean, next, I really want to get into the brothers match, brother versus brother.
Is this your favorite match of the show?
You know what? This was a match of the show. Was it my favorite? I don't know.
It was my favorite Sullivan match of the show.
Yeah, it was my favorite Sullivan match. I will give it that. I will give it 2 solid Sullivans.
But this match literally prompted me to tweet out, has Kevin Sullivan ever had a match that was not awful? And
why is this guy still out there doing stuff by 1995? Like, what? Who does he? Well, because he's the booker, right? Like that's why
I think so.
He's getting these matches for no reason,
right? I can't remember. I don't know. I'm not sure of my timeline. I know he's the booker at some point, like especially like to the end of WCW.
Yeah, and I just feel like he's like, man, we just I don't know what to fill that third match slot with. I guess I could call my brother.
Because everybody loves Dave Sullivan.
Dave Sullivan.
Oh,
who is winded 4 minutes into this match. They look like they were wrestling a 50-minute match and the bell just rang.
And to add on to that, this is not their first match on pay-per-view. I will tell you this. This is no. There was so much money in their previous matchups that they were like, you know what? We need to throw these lads out there again because the crowd eats it up.
Wow. Okay. All right. Oh, okay.
Do you know the story behind this match?
I don't know the story. I tried following what the promos were, but like
it wasn't a lot.
The Sullivans just kept getting in the way.
Yeah. Yeah, if you hadn't watched the previous shows, there's no way you would know. But so the story here is that Dave Sullivan loves Hulk Hogan. Kevin Sullivan does not love Hulk Hogan.
So this match is just putting Hogan over?
Literally, dude, literally, because their one of their previous matches, Dave, he came out dressed like Hogan. He had music that was similar to Hogan. He's just a Hogan fanboy, so that's his character. And
this is why Bad Butcher was out there. Is that because he used to be Butcher used to be Hogan's friend, and now he's the bad guy.
You're opening up a can of worms here. So the whole story here,
oh no,
is that Butcher attacked Hogan. So he was under a mask, but he attacked Hogan with a pipe. You know, because everyone attacks somebody
as
with a
all
pipe.
Friends do.
Because
at some point
we live in Clue apparently. And so he attacks Hogan with a pipe at a Clash of Champions sometime like last summer or something. But then it's eventually revealed that it's the Butcher, aka Brutus Beefcake, and I don't really know what their beef is, but there's a beef cake for sure, huh? We're having fun.
Yeah, we're having fun.
We're all
I
having
like
fun.
that. I see what you did there.
And then the last pay-per-view actually main evented with Hogan versus Butcher in a barn burner. You should go check that out for sure.
You know what? I won't. You know what? I won't. I won't do that.
I think I'll do literally anything else, actually.
Yeah. You know what?
But yeah, there's a whole, so Butcher hates Hogan, therefore he hates Dave. I guess it's a tie-in.
Right. So, and then the finish of this is that Kevin throws his brother into Butcher's head, and that's how he gets the win.
Correct. So they're putting over on commentary during this match about, not putting over, maybe it's the wrong word, but Butcher, I guess, was in a parasailing accident, which I think is real. I'm pretty sure that didn't actually happen.
I'm sure it was like he cut himself and he's like, can we just say parasailing?
He broke his face, okay? At least that's the impression I got, because like you said, Kevin throws Dave, which is eerily similar to the last match. Kevin throws Dave into Butcher, and Butcher is, like you said, he's grabbing his face. He's in so much pain from getting Dave Sullivan's stupid body whipped into him. And then Kevin capitalizes on this by rolling up Dave in a really weak-looking roll-up. I think he grabbed the tights. I'm not sure. Maybe he's just trying to take them off. Who knows?
Maybe.
So Kevin, another weird, weak roll-up finish here. Kevin Sullivan gets the win. It's baffling that WCW thinks anyone cares about either of these guys.
But, like, does this mean that, like, Kevin Sullivan's dad called only one of his sons to tell him he loved him that night? Dude,
that's like... You're joking, but that literally would have made it like, okay, well, I guess there's
that
some
would have been
stakes.
like for real.
Oh, I guess so. So maybe, again, you're adding these layers that I wish I would have had watching the show. Otherwise, not a lot to this match, but can only go up from there, right? I guess.
Right. So before we get to the next match, there was like a segment with Big Bubba Rogers and Avalanche as they yell at the camera.
Of course.
And the whole time they've been doing these promos, there's a mirror behind them. I don't know if you paid attention to that at all.
Oh, I didn't notice.
So like at one point, Big Boss Man, pretty much, he goes and does this big heated promo, and then you just see him walk off camera, grab his Mountain Dew, take a swig of it, and just stand there waiting for Avalanche to finish his bit. It's the best. That is the best part of this pay-per-view, is seeing him just walk over and grab his Mountain Dew.
That is, I need to go back. I actually do need to go back and watch that, because Mountain Dew just makes so much sense for Boss Man here.
Right? Like, it just makes sense for anyone who's a big guy is obviously drinking as much Mountain Dew back there as they can.
That's how it works.
Match.
It gets them all hyped up, right? Mountain Dew is what they call it. Whatever they gotta do, sweating and yelling at the camera. But after that, we have a match that's finally something decent. We have the World Tag Team titles are on the line. The champions, the Harlem Heat, of course, Booker T and Stevie Ray, along with Sister Sherry, versus the Nasty Boys, Brian Knobbs and Jerry Sags. So it's funny because Sherry was managing Ric Flair until he retired, but she was Sensuous Sherry. So I'm almost wondering if because she was Sensational Sherry in WWF, correct?
Yes.
So I'm almost wondering if there was like a cease and desist, like if that was like too close.
Maybe they just were like, this isn't working, let's just change the word, where it's too much.
Right. That's probably it. The WCW fans can't pronounce sensuous.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there a W in there? I don't know.
Well, I can't do that, man. But yeah, so a pretty decent match. I'm quickly becoming, in watching these shows, I'm becoming a fan of the Nasty Boys, I have to say. Because before, all I knew of them was whenever they made appearances in Hogan Knows Best. So I don't know if
that's the only time I've ever seen the Nasty Boys.
Right?
This is my only match I think I've ever watched of them. I don't understand the hype, but it's probably because I haven't followed anything that these guys have done. But seeing these guys compared to the big, almost 7 foot tall Harlem Heat and how stacked they are compared to these guys, like how are these guys gonna win this match?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Maybe it's a guilty pleasure of mine, but the Nasty Boys are just fun. Or maybe it's just because everything else was so terrible up to this point that I was like, oh, some entertainment. And of course, Booker T, Stevie Ray, like all day, every day, I'll watch those guys.
Right.
And both teams, so they both make their entrances. They're both staring each other down, jaw-jacking with each other. And I bring this up because this is the first time in this show where it felt like the two people fighting had like heat with each other.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, even with the two brothers before, you could tell it was just like the show. It was the pageantry of it. Like this, there was actual heat here, and it actually felt like, dare I say it, a big fight feel when you had them yelling at each other.
Exactly. Yeah, and I meant to even mention that because like the Sullivan match, it felt like they were just doing their job. Like it felt like they were clocking in, like, oh, God damn, I gotta do this for a little bit, and then they clock out, and then they're like, they're just completely separated from it emotionally.
Right. Exactly.
Like you said, this match, it felt like there was like some animosity between the two entities in this match. And, to add on to that, there's clear stakes, tag title match, the first title match of the show, which is bizarre because they usually have like a TV title, a US title, but none of that.
There's only 2 titles on this whole show that were up for grabs. Yeah,
because up to this point, I've been covering these, and it feels like it's nothing but title matches. But yeah, really weird here. But the crowd's really into this match. Once they get going, the Nasty Boys, they take control early. They're working the legs of the Harlem Heat. So, man, not only do you have stakes and animosity, but you have some psychology going into this match. The smaller Nasty Boys trying to chop down the Harlem Heat boys. But at some point, Sherry gets involved. She climbs up to the top rope with her heel in hand and tries to bash Brian Knobbs with it, but she misses and accidentally hits Booker T. And then Brian Knobbs rolls up Booker T for the win. But once again, Booker T's all in the ropes and shit, but the ref doesn't care once again, I guess.
Right, like this whole finish just stunk.
It was bad.
The logic of the ref coming down and being like, no, this is me. And then they're like, well, are we just going to ignore? Like, things balance out with Sherry jumping off the top rope and then him landing underneath the ropes like that. Like, that's how wrestling works. It's give and take. There's a balance to how these things work in karma in wrestling. So them just to be like, and now the referees are going to look at the replay box and see what they think about it. Like, when wrestling does this in general, it's just so oddball because like if they would have done, why are we doing this on the 4th match of the night? Like why aren't the other messed up finishes that we've seen the rest of the night done like this? So the referee has to have someone else run down and be like, enough is enough. There's no more tomfoolery. This is what really happened.
Well, I'll tell you, because whatever, heels getting involved, managers getting in there, interrupting matches, that's all fine. But goddamn it, what I will not tolerate is throwing your opponent over the top rope. That's crossing the line. You're gonna put your opponent in danger. The fans didn't come to see all of this high flying shenanigans over the rope. Nope, none of that. So,
but at that point, I would come to the ref and be like, "Hey, I got this picture here of this pinfall from Alex Wright earlier tonight. I'd love to see how you would call this finish."
Yeah, but at that point, the ref's already drinking Mountain Dew, quote unquote, backstage. So what does he care?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But yeah, so like you said, all of this tomfoolery happening, and so like Sherry gets involved. People are grabbing ropes during pinfalls. But what really does it in, the final decision of the match is a disqualification via over the top rope. Which it's bizarre that it's still a rule in 1995. Like that seems like an 80s, 70s rule. It's weird that it's so recently a rule.
I can't believe I remembered it. I was like, oh yeah, that was a thing, wasn't it? Yeah. And I wasn't even watching wrestling back then.
Right. They use it a lot, like almost once a show they use this. But yeah, the Harlem Heat, they retain the titles. And I believe at the next show they have a street fight or a false count anywhere match of some sort. So maybe they'll finally solve their differences at that show. But yeah, anything else on that craziness?
No, the whole match didn't make sense.
No, even though probably the best match of the show so far.
Yes,
I think so. Just for the charisma involved, just that alone, really. But when you think of charisma, I know what I think of, and that's Blacktop Bully.
Oh, really? Because I always think of Dustin Rhodes.
Oh, okay. Well, we have just different viewpoints. We're really gonna clash on this next match because
this is the one. This is the match that it happens.
It is a match that happens. You're exactly right.
But this time Meng is banned, so I guess cool. So but they're gonna leave Colonel Parker out there who does more harm than Meng does. So okay.
Oh God, yeah. It's so yeah, like you said. So Dustin Rhodes comes out and makes his entrance. Blacktop Bully, who is the former Demolition Smash, by the way, if you're keeping score at home, he comes out with Colonel Parker and Meng, and it feels like they take like 5 fucking minutes to get Meng out of there. Like it's this whole ordeal.
Yeah, it's a whole big thing.
Nick Bockwinkel's out there, the commissioner, I believe is his title.
Yeah.
There's like this whole conversation between them. Like, hey, listen, like it's this whole negotiation. Like, just kick him out.
Right.
You run the show.
You have the authority. Like, he is an employee of this company. Say no.
You can literally fire him. That is a thing. But the crowd pops for it once they announce it. So maybe I'm wrong. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe we don't know.
But the backstory here. So a lot of times in my reviews, I watch like the TV shows leading up to it. But this is pre-Nitro, and this is the Saturday night, WCW Saturday night era. And on Peacock, they only have them up to 93. So unless I'm going to go search out 95 WCW Saturday nights on a weird, Chinese YouTube, I don't care to see that the seeds getting planted for Blacktop Bully. Like, who cares?
Like, you could have just told me that the Colonel went out there to the parking lot and picked 5 dudes to wrestle tonight, and that would have been like Blacktop and 2 other guys we saw.
Yeah, Blacktop Bully really just looks like the most jacked guy at a barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess what the story, just judging by the quick video package they showed before this, so I guess Blacktop Bully, he was a fan that attacked Dustin Rhodes during a match on WCW Saturday night. So they arrested Blacktop Bully. I guess that's his real name, by the way. Blacktop Bully. And Colonel Parker bailed him out because he is a rich white man, after all. I don't know if you could tell that.
I could see both the white and the rich in that man's gimmick.
That didn't get past you. So I guess Blacktop Bully kind of owes he has a debt to Colonel Parker or some sort of whatever. But so we got Dustin Rhodes versus Smash here, the match everybody came to see.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this whole story with Dustin Rhodes and Colonel Parker. They had a War Games match a few months ago where it was Dusty Rhodes was there along with the Nasty Boys versus Colonel Parker, Meng, Arn Anderson, Buckhouse Buck. So there's this whole clash of kind of tribes there, and it just they keep dragging it along. And now they brought in Bully here. Like you mentioned, Meng is banned from ringside, so that's just kind of an even match, even though Colonel Parker's out there. But it is very similar to the Buckhouse Buck Jim Duggan match in that every time it seemed like Dustin had control. Most of the time, it was just a weird heel face dynamic. Like every time Bully would get the upper hand, Dustin would counter him and cut him off, and it just felt slow to me. I don't know if that's the impression you got.
Yeah, this is just like the first match. There was just a lot of holds.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I would have rather have seen, instead of Dustin Rhodes versus Blacktop Bully, I would have rather have seen Goldust versus Smash.
Yeah.
It would have been a lot more entertaining match.
Yeah. I agree with you.
These are 2 somewhat talented people in the ring. Nothing against Dustin Rhodes, because he gets a lot better. But I feel like these are 2 athletes that you just strip the best part of them as their gimmicks.
Right.
And now what are we watching here? A second generation wrestler versus a trucker.
Right. Yeah. And it was so Dustin Rhodes actually in this era is pretty good. Generally, this match is kind of an exception. He's had really good matches with Arn Anderson, even Bunkhouse Buck. They had a couple pretty good matches. But this one was kind of an outlier. It didn't seem I don't know if it's the chemistry,
because it really just felt like they were just kicking in the water.
Yeah.
having a hard time.
Yeah, and you kind of alluded to it, but it kind of seemed like the first match, and everything's kind of blending together because it's just like, you know, babyface versus, like you said, like Chucker or some adjacent character to that. But yeah, so towards the end, Colonel Parker gets involved. Who would have knew? Gets on the apron, and Dustin suplexes him into the ring. Crowd goes crazy for it.
Well, so the Colonel, he puts his leg up on the rope in front of the ref. Like, the ref saw it. Like, I would have kept counting.
Excuse me. WCW refs are very stupid. I don't know if you knew this.
My bad.
Also blind. It's weird. It's weird they chose them for the job, honestly, in hindsight.
Right. Because, like, even like in the tag match later, you could just tell the refs are just struggling to get distracted.
Yeah. But Dustin then tries to suplex Blacktop Bully from the apron into the ring. But that dastardly Colonel Parker grabs Dustin's feet. Bully lands on top of Dustin, and Colonel keeps holding on to Dustin's legs so he can't kick out. So Blacktop Bully gets the win here because the ref didn't see it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, this match is just too long, honestly, for me.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I don't understand the point of this. This should have been held off for Saturday, I guess.
Yeah, and like you said, this instead of Superbrawl, this show should have been called "Why Is This Match Happening?"
Right,
because that's like
it should have just been somewhat brawl. That's what they should have just called it.
Mediocre brawl.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's a match that happened.
It is a match that happened. I'll give you that.
All these matches are kind of similar. It's a lot of rest holds. It's a lot of, like, I feel like I'm not even talking about these matches because it was just like, here's a headlock for 10 minutes and then we'll do the finish.
Yeah. I mean, there was no big spots that I was like, ooh, or wow, what a finish. This really just felt like it was bad guy versus good guy. And here is a cookie cutter way to do every single one of them.
Yeah. And it's a weird period for WCW because that's a common template they follow. Like I said, this is pre-Nitro. This is pre-NWO. This is like, they're trying to figure things out. Like 95 is just a down period, both for WCW and WWF.
Yeah, because I feel like with WCW, they're really trying to figure out the WWF formula. Maybe that's what I'm seeing here, because I felt like there was a lot here that I really reminded me of a classic WWF show. And I think they're taking the formula that they're seeing from the WWF, being the only place that's really on television, and trying to figure out how to make it their own. And some things are hitting and missing. So like you said, like the commentating at the beginning sucks here, but it probably worked at Nitro.
Yeah, exactly. And it's weird because, like, I guess the early 90s, you had WCW, which is just like the pure wrestling company, just a bunch of guys in trunks and boots jostling in the ring. But and then you have WWF, which is all these colors and the pageantry and the fireworks and all that stuff. So it's like WCW is trying to enter that realm of entertainment where they're trying to have these like outlandish characters. Like we just saw the Prisoner, I guess what he was. Colonel Parker, stuff like that. But it's just not. They have all the puzzle pieces, but they're putting the wrong pieces together.
Right,
I think
all the characters that they're making are the characters that are losing to the known wrestlers. Like everyone knows. The people who are winning these matches it's pretty much these are the people that we bought. So these are the people who are going to be winning these matches. Yeah,
essentially. But then after that, we have Mean Gene Okerlund is ringside, and he brings out Ric Flair, the retired Ric Flair. So he comes out in his suit. He's just there to watch the show. Don't worry, everybody. He's not going to get involved at all. Just there to watch the show.
Yeah, he says he's just going to go over and sit with all of his women, and then he goes sits by himself. There's no women around him. He's like, I'm going to go sit by my ladies. And then they show him just walk over and sit, and then a fan's yelling at him from behind. Because you can see him just keep, like, looking back at somebody and just feel like, hey, shut up back there. But there's no women. What is this?
Man, are we finding out here that Ric Flair is probably just a virgin?
Right? He's just Steve Carell's character.
60-year-old virgin or however old Ric Flair is at this point. Yeah, man, I didn't even notice that. That's hilarious. But so yeah, he says, and it's a weird in this promo. It's a quick promo. It's a whatever promo, but it was a weird phrasing because Ric Flair said that he's been on the shelf, which implies that he's gonna be off the shelf eventually.
Right. I just assumed he was injured until you told me about this whole retirement thing that was coming up or that had happened. Yeah. It sounded like he was injured.
Right? It did. But nope, he's no more matches for Ric Flair ever in his career, ever again.
Yeah, but I've never seen a man talk so much shit and not wink his eye, but it looked like he was winking his eye the whole time he was talking shit.
That's just him. That's his resting. Like some people have resting bitch face. He has
like,
resting wink face.
There's no way I'll get into this match. And he doesn't wink his eye. You're waiting for it. But he's just going to be like,
yeah.
Uh-huh.
You feel it inside of him.
Yeah.
So like you said, he goes and just is celibate at ringside by himself.
Well, Great Muta is like 4 seats down for some reason.
Yeah, I guess I figured
I think he should have gotten a bigger pop if they would have known.
Right. Well, the last we saw of Great Muta was a few months ago when he faced Steve Austin, which is a match that happened. Once again, the finish of that match was an over-the-top disqualification.
So he's just here to be salty about that, I guess.
He's just making sure he doesn't get thrown over that top rope. That's all it's happening.
He probably complained when it happened in Harlem Heat, and he's like, "Hey, wait a minute! Hey, wait! He brought somebody in. They're like, you know what? You're right. We'll send a ref out."
Man, that is deep. That's long-term storytelling at its finest.
Right there. Yep. That's how they won the Monday Night Wars, man.
Yeah. It's all Great Muta's doing.
Mm-hmm.
But this match here might have been my match of the night, personally, which is weird, just with the characters involved. So you have Avalanche and Big Bubba Rogers versus Randy Savage and Sting. So this is Macho Man's, I don't know if this is his first WCW match, but it's his first pay-per-view WCW match. He just came to the company the last pay-per-view, so he's still really fresh. And so is Avalanche, too. He also made his debut a few months ago. And then obviously you have Sting there, who's already like the standard bearer for WCW. And then you have Big Bubba Rogers, which is a hilarious story in itself because he came in as the boss. And as we all know, Big Bubba Rogers as Big Boss Man from WWF. Right. So he came into WCW as the boss. Vince McMahon is like, well, goddamn, pal, that's too close to Big Boss Man. So they change his name. They take away his nightstick. They make him change his whole aesthetic, and they change his name to the Guardian Angel. And then apparently that doesn't work out for whatever reason. He turns heel here.
Yeah, because it's the Guardian Angel.
Yeah, what did you expect? I thought he would come out with wings and stuff and like a bow.
Is he an X-Men character? What is this?
That would have been better. No, he was just a guy with a shirt and pants. Then now he's,
as we all are
at some point. But now he's Big Bubba Rogers, which I guess because he recently turned heel, and I guess with a heel turn comes a name change. So now he's Big Bubba Rogers, and I don't know the context, but I don't want to know because it's hilarious to me.
Leave the mystery.
That he just decides that now he's going to wear fedoras and pinstripe suits and sunglasses.
Yeah, I guess that's his thing. He should have came down with some lemonade. Like that would have just completed the character.
I would have loved it.
Can we talk about how Avalanche, does he not know that flexing at your opponent does 0 damage? Because that's all he did this entire match was just.
I think he was trying to summon snow from
something
from Mount Everest, Washington, which is where he's from. What are the odds? He's born in Mount Everest and he gets named Avalanche. Who would have thought? So the match gets underway. Sting knocks Bubba to the outside. Macho Man hits a double axe handle from the top rope, which probably was the biggest pop of the entire show. I think it was like Macho's first involvement. So the crowd is just probably itching to see him get involved. Macho Man gets in, he's legal, he kind of dominates Bubba for a little bit, and he beats him into his corner, and then he just slaps the shit out of Earthquake, it made me pop for whatever.
Ooh, it made me tingle hearing those slaps.
Learning a lot about you today. So Macho Man and by the way, Macho Man, he sees Flair ringside, and he keeps trying to invite him into the ring. So I guess
yeah, which is one of the better parts of the match, I think, is him just being like, "Come on, let's just make it another tag match."
But Flair, hey, he's retired, don't you know? So he can't get in the ring because he's retired.
Right?
Maybe Macho Man didn't get the memo. So the match keeps going on. The match is hype. I mean, I don't know. Like I say, it could have been just a low bar that's been set thus far, but the crowd is really into it. They love seeing Macho Man. They already love Sting. So it seems like every bit of offense they hit, the crowd's just eating up.
Well, it's also like it's been almost over 20 years since his match. So it's just cool to see Sting and Macho Man in action like this again. Because nowadays you don't see it that often. You got to actually pull up some of this content. But just to see the colorful Macho Man actually doing some moves on WCW television, it was a lot of fun.
Right. Yeah, because we see Macho Man and Sting later on, but that's like black shirt, black pants Macho Man with the hat. Like, and then Sting is Sting. But yeah, exactly. It's crazy to see these guys in the same like match because it feels like they're kind of different.
I almost want to say like the attire that Macho Man wears tonight is the same one he wears in all the Slim Jim commercials.
It probably is. So Sting body slams Earthquake because he's a big strong boy.
He's a heavy boy.
He stumped. Wait, hold on. Is it Earthquake or Avalanche?
It's Avalanche.
He was Earthquake in WWF, right?
It depends on what Pokemon type he is, but I think in this one he's Avalanche.
More of a Yu-Gi-Oh man myself, so that's probably why I'm confused. But whatever, I'm gonna call him Earthquake, Avalanche. It's all the same. It's all natural disaster.
I mean, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
Right.
He's losing regardless.
That's what his name should be. Losing regardless.
If I had a band, that'd be the name.
So Bubba nails Sting in the corner because he's illegal. So he nails Sting, but Sting falls headfirst into Earthquake's balls.
Yeah, that was a funny bit.
That was fun. Always pop for that.
I felt really bad for Sting just happened to just go nose deep into that.
What do you think it smells like?
I don't want to. It smells like Avalanche and Earthquake. It smells like both.
I don't want to smell that. So you're probably right.
No one does, but Sting did.
No, he did. He
came up and all of his face paint was gone. It was just in between his thighs.
That's where the paint went. It's still there today, some say. But then Macho Man won't be outdone by Sting. He body slams Boss Man and then hits a beautiful top rope elbow, as per usual from Macho Man. So it was another wonky finish here. So Macho Man hits the elbow onto Boss Man. Sting is in the opposite corner. He nails Earthquake with he kind of stumbles on the top rope. He kind of hits him with a clothesline to the back. So Earthquake kind of just falls. He trips over Boss Man, who's laying on the mat prone, and then Sting pins Earthquake. So just a weak looking finish. Another
not to mention that during all that happening, Macho is pinning whoever him and I think it's Bubba who are not legal.
Yes.
And so he tries pinning Bubba during that whole segment of him tripping over Avalanche. And the ref's like, you're not the legal guy and neither is he. And I think this happens commonly with Macho Man, is that he constantly thinks he's the legal man. I mean, he's even eliminated himself out of the Rumble before. So I don't think he pays too much attention. He doesn't have the best ring awareness, if you know what I mean.
No. Lots of Mountain Dew, not diet.
Yes, lots of Slim Jims and Mountain Dew will do that to you, bud.
But anybody listening, if you're like, man, the way you guys described that finish was very confusing, let me tell you, it's just as confusing if you watch it. So
we verbally represented that very well.
Yes, absolutely. So whatever, Macho Man and Sting get the win here, and it's a lot of clunkiness in this match, but I thought it was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I agree. There was just a lot. It started strong and just really petered out towards the end. But the beginning was fun. I mean, I'll give it to him. Macho just not knowing what he's doing just added a little bit of flavor to the match.
Yeah, just a little bit of Slim Jim flavor. That's all anybody needs. But we're here now at the main event. The WCW World Heavyweight Title is on the line. The champion, Hulk Hogan, versus Big Van Vader. So Vader has been built up pretty well at this point, just for context.
Oh yeah. I'm rooting for Vader in this match.
Yeah.
I think they also said this is the first time they've faced each other. Is that true?
It could be. I'm not too familiar on
that's
their
what they
history.
said, but I don't
previous
know
to
if that's
this.
just based off like WCW or if there's an actual like history there. But I was hyped. Vader did a really good job of hyping up the main event with Hogan having 0 TV time, which is great because I hate Hulk Hogan.
Let me tell you, Vader is a diamond in the rough in WCW at this point. I love Vader because Vader is before my time, and I just love watching him work because he was such he was legit. Like you believed that this guy was going to kick your ass when you saw this guy.
Watching it as it's going on, you just see how ferocious he is and how entertaining it is. And then when it's done, you can still laugh at some of his segments. And it doesn't put anything down on Vader. Vader, I think, is an amazing entertainer, and he gets the business so well of what he has to do as a character to keep this going.
Right. Exactly. And, it's like everybody else. His promos, they're like yelling at the camera, that whole thing. And he's kind of talking about some goofy shit like, oh, the demons are coming from the earth and like all that stuff. It's
and then
weird.
He takes his mask off. So what are the demons? The mask? Vader? Is that what it is? Stop wearing the mask.
We can see your face, you silly goose.
Yeah, it's not doing anything.
but like even his promos, aside from the goofiness, are still very good. Like they make him, if nothing else, they make him sound intimidating. Just add on to his presence. So Vader, he won, I think it was 2 pay-per-views ago. He won a triple threat match to become #1 contender.
Yeah, they showed that in the promo.
Right. And then the next show, because at the previous show, Starrcade, Hogan faced Butcher for the title. So Vader didn't get his shot at that pay-per-view, but he did get his shot against Jim Duggan for the U.S. title. And Vader beat Jim Duggan for the U.S. title, and was essentially just a stepping stone to get to this match, I guess.
Okay.
So Vader's been looking very strong, lots of wins. He's even the U.S. champion here, which I think was kind of under the radar. And then Hogan kind of comes off like a bitch in this. I don't know about you. It seems like he's ducking Vader.
He no-shows the whole pay-per-view, and then he just comes out and says, "Drink your vitamins." And this is cookie cutter Hogan.
Right.
Like everything he does is every move he did. I felt like I've seen this match before. I feel like I've seen this match a dozen times. There's nothing that Hogan did different in this match.
Yeah, and that's everyone that I've brought on to do these WCW shows has said something similar. That Hogan, he just had his formula. It's like, we're just gonna stick with the formula, and there's nothing, interesting or unique about any of his matches. Little things here and there, I guess.
I mean, I'm sure they work on a live crowd that you're seeing from, city to city, but people who are watching this regularly are like, they got to be done with this. They got to be over Hogan.
Yeah, and they are. They were over Hogan when he was in WWF, when he beat Yokozuna at WrestleMania, was it 9? And now he comes to WCW doing the exact same thing, and the people are confused why he's not really catching fire as much as they thought. They eventually figure out the formula. Like, I guess
right.
We're a year and a half away from that still at this point that we're talking. But so, and by the way, have to mention before we get into the match, the Hogan promo before the match. Did you by any chance count how many brothers he said?
Dude, it was ridiculous. Like he was forcing them at some points. Like he was putting them in between words that didn't need it. Like I almost felt bad if anyone was taking shots, because like they would have been toasted and wouldn't have been able to even get through to the bell ringing for the match.
Yeah.
It was a lot of brothers. Like I don't know if he gets 20. Paid for the amount of brothers or what.
That would be smart. If that's the case, then I have an egg on my face, because that's just him being a good businessman.
Right? Because Hacksaw has just been yelling USA. Like, he can't copyright that.
Yeah, he's dancing with what brung him, I guess. Brother. But the match gets underway, and Hogan clearly he looks outmatched by Vader, which I like. Vader is this monster. The babyface Hogan looks like he's in peril, so I do like that, how they kind of did that in the beginning. He does this whole, Hogan has to change up his usual Hogan thing. We talked about how he did this match was just like any other match, But Hogan did bust out a spinning armbar in this match on a standing Vader. So a little jujitsu from the Hulkster here.
Yeah, okay, everyone gets one.
He does one different thing every match. But Vader, he quickly gets out of it. You know, Hogan's strikes are landing, but they're not phasing Vader. Vader pretty much takes control. He hits a Vader bomb, a power bomb, only for a 2 count. Then Vader hits a Vader bomb in the corner, the splash, for a 2 count. Vader says, let me up the ante one little bit. Goes up to the top rope. Goes for his beautiful moonsault, but misses. Thank God, because that would kill any human.
Oh, yeah.
Looked beautiful, though. Hogan tries to capitalize. He knocks Vader to the outside and just grabs a steel chair and hits him a few times. I guess it's no DQ.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess he's just like, hey, mulligan. And this one's a mulligan. And this one's a mulligan.
I'm Hulk Hogan, brother. I'm signing your paychecks. So hits him with he hits Vader with the chair a few times. Vader's still on his feet. They get back in the ring.
The ref's just like, as long as it's not over the top rope, I'm fine with it.
Was it Nick Patrick, the ref in this match? Do you remember?
I couldn't remember who the referee was.
I got before we get to the end of this match, I have a bone to pick with Nick Patrick. This motherfucker, this is pin cadence. I've mentioned it before, but it always infuriates me. Do you know what I'm talking about? He hits the mat so lightly. And so,
that you don't even know. Yeah, that when he finally does touch, you're like, was that a 3 count?
Does that count?
Because if you don't hear it, you really don't know where you're sitting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. But they get back in the ring, and Hogan hits the big boot, hits the leg drop, but Vader kicks out at 1. Unbelievably. Hogan has never seen this before, so
this week.
The ref gets knocked down at some point. Who knows? It's WCW. Something happened. Ref is out. Vader hits a powerbomb, has Hogan beat, but the ref is down and cannot make the count. So this prompts...
So then a fan decides to show up and decide to do the count.
A drunken fan named Ric Flair hops the barricade because he didn't want any of Macho Man. But now he gets in the ring.
He goes, I don't want to wrestle, but I'll referee.
I'll make a theoretical count.
I'll be an official.
Yeah. So he's retired from wrestling, maybe not retired from refereeing. Maybe that's the loophole here. So Flair gets in the ring, like you said, and he makes a 3 count, not official, of course. Hogan gets up. I believe, does he touch Flair at all? Or does Flair just run away? I forget.
I think... So doesn't someone else shows up, don't they, to kind of interfere in the match? Yes. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if he touches him or not. I can't remember if he does. I just remember him running away at the end.
Yeah. Right. I feel like Hogan kind of fights back. Flair leaves the ring in some way or fashion. So now it's just Hogan and Vader in the ring. Hogan hits Vader with another boot. Vader doesn't get knocked down, though, still on his feet. And then Hogan clotheslines Vader over the top rope.
There it is.
There it is. If you were like, man, that first over the top rope disqualification, that was so delicious. I'm going to need some more of that.
Right?
There it is.
Double dip. We get some of that discount double check.
Oh, man. So, honestly, I don't even know if it was over the top rope or if it was just Flair getting involved. But whatever it is, it's a disqualification. And your main event for the world title that's been built up for several months, we have a disqualification, folks, on pay-per-view. And at this point, all hell breaks loose. Vader and Flair are double teaming Hogan. They have him down, they have him beaten. But then the Macho Man and Sting come out to make the save. They have steel chairs, they have color, they have face paint, and they run off Vader and Flair. And then bizarrely, so Flair and Vader are like at the top of the ramp. They high five. They seem very happy with themselves.
Why is Vader happy without this outcome? He got fucked over. Like, Flair interferes. He gets disqualified. Mm-hmm. So and how does he look at me, like, dude, you didn't walk out with a title, so it doesn't matter. why are you buddying with this dude who also made it so you didn't have a title? None of it made sense.
I'm gonna chuck this one up to Vader just being a big dumb animal. That's what I think.
Maybe. Because he probably went backstage and goes, okay, so when's my match start?
Right. He still thinks he's just causing chaos.
He still thinks he's just harassing. And they're like, oh, Big Daddy V, I got some bad news, but that was it.
But so yeah, like you said, Vader gets disqualified, or somebody gets disqualified, either whatever the case may be. Hogan retains the title, but Vader is still like, haha, yeah, brother. So
right, because so like neither of these people, I mean, you didn't get to see Hulk pin Vader if you were a Hogan fan, and you didn't get to see Vader beat Hogan if you're, a normal person that you wanted that.
Yeah. Well, hey, you got to see Macho Man and Sting twice.
You did get to see that, and one of them even brought chairs, so that's pretty cool.
They didn't have chairs the first time, I don't think. So
no, they didn't. They didn't the first time.
That's another layer. But yeah, it fits with the theme of this pay-per-view. A weird, crappy finish, kind of a lukewarm end to the show, and then that's it. That's Superbrawl 5, folks.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see you at the 6th one.
Yeah. But yeah, man. So that brings the show to a close. Overall, I mean, we kind of touched on it at the top of the show. Just like it was, I don't know. If you're like watching this out of context, it's fun, I guess, to see these characters at this period in their careers. But if you're watching it, if you're in it, and you're watching these storylines unfold, I can't see how you'd be happy with this pay-per-view.
What in any of these matches, I don't see a single thing that would drive me to want to watch the next episode.
No.
Of whatever was Saturday night's main event or whatever. Like none of this would drive me to want to continue to follow this product. There was no storytelling at all here. There was no contendership. There was, I guess, if you're a really big fan of Colonel Parker, you'd be like, all right, can't wait to see who he brings out from that dumpster fire next.
Oh, KFC man. But yeah, so it was a fine show. Not the worst thing I've ever seen in my life, but it was just a lot of bad finishes, and like you said,
if one thing, it was nice to not have to watch wrestling in the Thunderdome. So
yeah.
I'll give it that.
Yeah, you had live people. I think the problem with this show is that there was no Johnny B. Bad.
That's what it needed.
Yeah,
we needed some more of him.
That was. I don't know where he is at this point, because he always opens up these shows. So I don't know. Maybe he's fucking Sable somewhere. I don't know. But yeah. Anything else on Superbrawl?
Nah, man. It was a brawl. It was super fun.
Yeah, for the 5th time.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, once again, man, thank you. It was a ton of fun having you on here for Superbrawl, covering some WCW. Where can everybody follow you and listen to you on the Full Nelson Press?
You can go to thefullnelsonpress.com or just search the Full Nelson Press anywhere. We're on all podcast apps. We also do an animated podcast on YouTube, so you can check out. It's the same as the audio feed. We just do an animated version with it to go with the voices.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we cover AEW and WWE current events, and then we occasionally will review a movie that the main character is a wrestler, so we can have a really fun bad movie review.
Hell yeah.
I'm on Twitter at Johnny JONNY_Tango, and the Full Nelson Press is just at TFNP.
Hell yeah. Yeah, you guys have a great show. Really entertaining. You and Pete is his name, your co-host?
Yeah, I hate him, but he's a good guy.
Well, that's how you know it's going to be a good show.
Pretty much our episodes are pretty much just what our phone conversations used to be.
Yeah.
Before we would actually start recording them. So we love to make fun of the product. We hate to bash it. We like to look at it as a different way of, instead of being like everyone else who hates the WWE right now, because it sucks. So why hate it? Why listen to someone hating it? Listen to someone who's going to make fun of it. So.
Exactly. That's what it's all about. So everybody go check that out. And yeah, once again, man, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Once again, thank you to Brandon from the Full Nelson Press podcast. Go check out their podcast. All info is in the description below. or wherever, the description is on the platform you're using. But go check them out. Really fun guys over there. I love the dynamic between him and his co-host Pete. And check me out at apronbump.com. You'll find all my social media, all the platforms I'm on. We'll bring you right there. If you enjoy these WCW reviews, go to apronbump.com, episodes tab at the top, click on a WCW, and all of my WCW episodes from Spring Stampede 94 up till now are there, as well as you can also go to my Wrestling Wars of the 90s series on apronbump.com, and it'll bring you not only WCW in this era, but WWF and ECW. So following all of those companies in parallel in a chronological-ish fashion. So check that out if you haven't already. Currently scheduled next week, Vengeance 2001. Going back to not the Attitude Era, I guess. I guess that's kind of over at this point. But WWF, their last pay-per-view of 2001. A very interesting time period in between Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression Era. So that is what's coming up next week. So subscribe if you aren't already. And that is all Daddy has for you today. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'm hard.
The hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing I guess. Let's get it started. It's the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing I guess.